Welcome to Spotlight. My name is Nuong Faalong. Today we are joined by the presidential candidate for the Progressive People's Party, PPP, Brigitte Dzogbenuku. She's going to be telling us exactly her strategy to add to the fortunes of the PPP. Welcome.
Thank you. Nuong.
How did you get into politics? I'm sure this is a question you get often.
Yes.
How did it happen for you?
Well, I probably started thinking leadership, or I was led into thinking about leadership from about 2008, when I was selected to participate in the Fortune Global Women's Leaders Mentoring Partnership. It's a very prestigious program which is put together by the U.S. State Department.
So it's a mentorship program?
A mentoring program, yes. Put together by the U.S. State Department and the Fortune 500 companies, where women are selected from various countries and paired up with women in the Fortune 500 companies, top management women. And you go on a mentoring program and they serve as your mentees for a period of about 3.5 weeks.
Who mentored you?
My mentor is called Donna Orenda. She now, if you go online on Facebook, she has something called the W Generation, and it's basically women in leadership.
She must be proud of you at this point.
I think she is. I'm still in touch with her. I participate in the W Generation weekly, I think it's weekly or is it bi-weekly online seminars and programs, and she's always very inspiring. At the time, she was the the president of the WNBA, the Women's National Basketball Association. So it gave me the opportunity to look at women in leadership as against sports, women in sports. And it was very helpful. So I think from that, then I started thinking about leadership.
Okay.
Especially women in leadership, not necessarily women in politics, or not only in terms of women in political leadership, but women in leadership in general, corporate leadership, how sports could put women in leadership, and you know.
When you started thinking women in leadership, did you take deliberate efforts to prepare yourself for leadership?
No, I think that what the State Department did was to identify people who might have shown signs of leadership. In my case, I was heading Aviation Social Center. I was a woman in a
management position.
In a management, not only a management, but in an area which was thought to be probably the sole preserve of men. Now I can't actually see, you know, a man running Aviation Social Center.
Okay, right.
And I handed over to a woman as well. So it made it seem as if, well, this seemed, you know, fitness, sports and all that, it would have been best run by a man, or that is what we thought. So I think they saw me in that light and thought, that's interesting. That is a different angle to a woman in leadership.
So did the PPP choose you, or did you choose them?
They asked me, but I chose them.
Right.
So following that, I started, you know, I got vocal. I thought, well, if I'm seen as in a leadership position, I must make my voice heard, I must make my views known. And therefore, I started to...
When you say you started to make yourself heard, do you remember July 1st, 2014?
I will never forget it.
Tell us about July 1st, 2014.
Well, because I used to be so vocal on social media after the Fortune program and many other programs that I went on following that, on July 1st, 2014, when the young men of Occupy decided that they wanted to go on a demonstration, I was dead sure that I would be there. I wanted to be part of it.
You joined them?
I didn't join them Occupy group.
But you
per
spoke
se.
for the movement. You contributed
Yes,
to the dialogue.
I went to the demonstration as a demonstrator, along with everybody else who was there. Some people who are now in government.
To make yourself heard.
Yes. Well, to count, to be part of the number. I don't think I went there to make a grand statement or a profound statement.
At that particular moment, I'm sure you believed in Occupy. That's why you joined the demonstration.
I wanted something to change.
Something to change.
So it wasn't so much the Occupy as what they stood for. And I thought that I agree with them that something had to change.
So more for citizen participation.
Yes.
Do you think anything should change now?
My goodness, why would I be trying to run as president? It's not a fun thing to do. It's not a glamorous thing to do. It is because I have the conviction that Ghanaians deserve better, particularly trying to choose between these two parties.
But how come we haven't seen you in any demonstrations recently?
Because I'm not one to start a demonstration, but I think this by itself is a form of demonstration. Not very many women my age and with my kind of background are into politics. And this move by itself is a demonstration. So even from 2016.
I like this. Standing for president for you is your form of demonstration.
It is, of
what
course.
are you demonstrating against?
I mean, we deserve better as Ghanaians. It's going on 60 years since our independence. The country is still fraught with many, many, many problems. Social injustice, corruption. And yet we are so endowed that every Ghanaian must be prosperous. Not rich, but prosperous.
When you say social injustice, corruption, do you have specifics?
Of course. I mean, and if you're asking, so I go into our policies, yes. But I'll tell you that something we were talking about among the party the other day. Here we are with an Ijapa deal, our royalties being supposedly invested for life, for some people to benefit from. And then we tout something as simple as free SHS that has been done in a very simple manner to benefit a few people and say, yes, we've done this, we must clap.
You don't agree with how free SHS has been implemented?
No, of course not. I don't agree
what would
with
you
it.
do
I don't
differently?
have a problem with free SHS. But let's not make it only about access or only about the fact that people are being given a meal a day or food, or only about money remaining in the pockets of Ghanaians, when the real issue of the quality of the education is suffering. Yes, our SHS results came out and they're saying...
Yeah, WAEC results just came. We did well, English, maths, science subjects.
We could do better. And you see, this is the mediocre, the crumbs that we are given and we accept. Because we can do better. There can be more passes. It's not a matter of we did better than 20. Yes, we look at growth, but there's room to do much better. There's room to
But it's progressive.
schools.
I mean, they've improved upon last year.
We are in 2020. If we are still touting such results as good results, we are to be pitied, and we shouldn't be satisfied with it.
In your policy statement, there's a section on crime and corruption where you make mention of some changes you will make to the Special Prosecutor's Office. Can you explain to us?
You see, the Special Prosecutor has just made a case where he said he was not independent, or he felt that his independence was being manipulated of sorts.
Which has been refuted by the presidential letter.
They will refute it. I would refute it if I were in their position. But the point is, he is not independent. He's still beholden to the Ministry of Justice. He's still, to some extent, beholden to the Attorney General. He is not. Why would the president be calling him if you refuted it? Why would you be called even if you refuted it?
The president said he was to present to him the response from the Ministry of Finance about the allegations in his corruption risk assessment.
Why must the president do that? I mean, I will not even start to go into, because to be a whole, we won't finish this interview. But the point is, the man was not independent. He wasn't given free will to do his job.
What changes would you make to his office?
It will completely be independent. If what he wants is to be independent, to choose his office space, to choose his employees, that will be, it's a security thing as well. So if the man decides that I will want to, the position demands, not even the man as much as the position demands that these things should be made freely to him in order for him to do his work, it must be so. It must be independent. He must be chosen not by a party in power, the leader of a party in power, a president in power, but he must be chosen by the system, by parliament, if you like.
The president's letter also mentions that they actually made available certain resources which he declined.
It's probably, you see, well, I hope that he will come out and answer to that. But
perhaps another letter.
Yeah, but if you want the man to be independent and you say, okay, here, we've given you keys to your office, probably for his own security, he's thinking, no, I cannot take this. This is a security matter and I would want to be involved through and through. It so happens that the person they chose is thorough and he wants his things done in a certain way. You chose him. And therefore you must, and if he says, this is the way in which I can work, we must give him that laxity to do that.
So you think the problem with his office right now is independence?
That is it. We want an independent public prosecutor.
There are some people who also argue that his office is not necessary to begin with because we have the state agencies to do the same job.
Well, you have the Attorney General who is the Minister of Justice, who sits in cabinet with all the other ministers. And therefore, how free is she? And she's a woman now. And I give her a lot of credit because I think she's done certain things that speak for her as a woman in leadership. But this is a woman, this is someone who is sitting in cabinet with her colleagues. How then is she able to level cases of corruption against them and hold them accountable? It's difficult. They are colleagues in cabinet. They sit there and all decide, belonging to one political party, decide on what action to take or what to say. How do you break ranks? It's difficult that way. So that Attorney General will be there, but ought not to be a minister in cabinet.
What's your key sector of focus in your policy statement?
Well, we say jobs, but one of the key areas that we talk about jobs, we talk about education. We will talk about the human capital development. So that will involve some jobs, that will involve some education, that will involve some health. The jobs particularly, we are interested in, of course, that will involve some infrastructure in the economy. The jobs, for example, we are interested in enhancing the agric sector in a way. I mean, currently as we sit, even without the injection into the agric sector, the agric sector alone employs, I think, 30%, about 30%, according to the statistical service, of our employees, of people who are employed. And yet, we are not propping that up, because if we do, we can employ a lot more people in that sector. And then we can employ a lot more people in the regions and in the districts without everybody trying to find something to do in the
But the
big
NPP
cities.
claim they are investing a lot in agriculture. There's
I like the fact
policies
that you said
like planting for
claim.
food and jobs.
Yes, but how well is it being done? Is it being done for political expediency? They have fantastic policies. How well has it been implemented? Let's go and ask and let's see. And it's okay if they are doing it. It's for the good of Ghana. But how well is it being done? Is it really planting for food and jobs? Is it providing the jobs for the people? Or is it providing jobs for people who are leaning towards this political party and therefore it's their kind of people? Ghanaians, we are all Ghanaians. We the people, we talk about inclusiveness. So when we talk about inclusiveness, we're not going to do planting for food and jobs that only favors people in our region or people close to us or people in our party.
Are you saying that's what planting for food and jobs is doing?
Well, where are the people who've been employed in planting for food and jobs? In which areas? Where is it? Are they in the rice areas? Can we know about them? Can we be told about them? So I feel that yes, whilst these policies are laudable, they must not do the politics of the policy. Just implement the policy for the good of all Ghanaians.
What key policy would you implement in the area of employment to revolutionize the whole employment system?
Like I was saying, I was talking about agric. We have, let me talk about the one that pleases us most. That governments, being the largest buyer of everything, will buy only from the Ghanaian farmers. So government will buy, the largest buyer. Government holds events. Government feeds the schools. So everything that we are feeding to the schools, all the government's activities and events that are held where there's food served, let the government buy from the Ghanaian. Let the government buy chicken from the Ghanaian farmer. Let government buy rice from the rice farmer. Let government school feeding program, it should only be food produced by Ghanaians, not imported rice, not imported tomatoes.
Will you ban the importation of rice?
Well, the unfortunate thing is we haven't grown our industry to the point where rice importation can be banned. Not now, but in the future, the plan will be to have so much rice on the market that it will not be an incentive. There won't be an incentive for those who import rice, and we can do it. I think Nigeria did it before. We can do it where we plant rice enough to feed the Ghanaian. I think that a radio station like City FM started a drive like that. Unfortunately, some of the rice planters and millers could not meet the demand on the market. But that is because they haven't been given that boost. And if they are given that boost, they will be able to provide.
Let's look at education, for example. What new thing are you introducing in education? We have free SHS now. We have free basic education. Yes. What is the new thing?
Yes, there's supposedly free basic education. We all know, and parents have complained, that it's not entirely free. But we say not only free, but compulsory. Children will have to go to school. Children will be forced to go to school.
How are you going to force children to go to school?
And I get this question all the time. I'm sure you know the answer. We've said it, that we will have education police who will enforce children being in school. Every child must answer.
Isn't that a bit heavy-handed? It's going against their will.
It's going against their will, but our constitution says it, that apart from education, anybody else held in the confines of any place against their will is criminal, but for education. So we have the right to enforce education. It's not going against their will, it's not heavy-handed. One thing I've found with us Ghanaians is that anything we do that is to enforce discipline, we find it punitive. Discipline is not punitive. But discipline is the right thing to do. Doing the right thing is not a punishment. It's ultimately for the good of the person. And education is ultimately for the good of every Ghanaian. Imagine a Ghana where every child has gone through school compulsorily to the point of SHS and has at least an SHS education. Wouldn't that make us a better Ghana, for lack of a better phrase, than what we have now? So yes, it will be enforced. It's not heavy-handed. It is for the good of the child. It is for the good of the parents. It is for the good of Ghana. And discipline is not punitive.
You have worked with women in business for a long. You're a businesswoman yourself.
Yes, a small entrepreneur.
You know, Ghana is leading the whole world in the number of women-owned businesses all across the world, second to none. However, most of these businesses are at the subsistence level. What are you going to do to improve the livelihoods of these women, to be able to make resources accessible to them so that they can move from the subsistence level to a major level?
We have a policy where we want to have a women's enterprise fund where women can access capital to build up their businesses. But we also are interested in the affirmative action bill, where we'll have women in leadership, either proportional or alternate leadership, in that if a position is held by a man now, then it must be held by a woman
So
at some
rotation
point.
now.
Yes, or
This is for
alternates.
public service or
For all kinds of, I mean, you cannot tell
because the
private sector what
yes,
to do.
yeah.
You can't tell private sector what to do. But private sector is doing well in many parts with women in leadership. We are not saying this so that we can lord leadership over men. We are saying it because it has been found out that women in leadership makes developmental sense and makes economic sense. When a woman is in leadership, it's not about her ego or about her appearance or the desire to lord it over someone. It is because she actually feeds into the life of the people with whom she's working, into their children's lives and all that. So yes, the affirmative action bill must be passed into law, first and foremost.
Must be passed how soon?
Within our first year, we will do that. Well, there's no point.
I was expecting to say first 3 months. First year, so it will take a bit of time.
Yes.
I mean, we've had those promises before. I'm sure you've had the
But it
NPP.
hasn't been done. We are saying it. I'm a woman in leadership, so why would I change my mind? I mean, within the first year, yes. Within the first 3 months, it's still within the first year. So it could be 3 months, or it could be 6 months, or it could be a year. But it will be passed. I mean, we've sat down and we haven't seen this thing happen for all these years.
Yes.
So if we are saying we will do it in 1 year, in the first year, it could be well within 3 months.
But like I mentioned earlier, the NPP has made that promise. Why do you think they haven't been able to fulfill it?
It's been 4 years and they haven't fulfilled it because
What
they
do you
don't
think
have
is
the
possible?
political will to do it. They have women in there. They don't have the political will to do it.
You think the
They are
NPP does
trying
not have
to
the political
protect
will?
their power in government, you know, holding on to power. And this may be a men's decision. Let's hold on to power because where our women are our strongholds, and or if we want to give certain seats to women, they are strongholds, and the people may not vote for them or they are not strong enough. Try us and see. There was a woman in the NPP who defied all odds, I must say, and won her constituency. I think it was Obuasi, and came. But look at what they did to her this time around. And when she was attempting to run as an independent, the people, her people, believed in her enough to want to bring her back. This should be telling the government and the people in parliament and the political parties that women are worth something. It is not necessarily the fact that she fits the mold or she fits the bill, but she commands a certain leadership position and commands a certain constituency of people, and therefore she must be put there because she answers to their needs, and that is what is important. It's not just holding the position and sitting there and saying I'm a man in leadership or I'm a parliamentarian. It's a matter of actually feeding into the lives of the people who make up your constituents.
There are a lot of young people who support your party. PPP is seemingly more youthful than many parties. Do you have any youth-focused policies that will benefit the youth?
Well, of course, our jobs policies where we want to push a lot of people, like I said, into agri and take a lot of the youth out of the galamsey business, for example, and put them into long-term. You see, with our agri policy, for example, we're saying we want to open up the country to business. We want to take good roads to farm gates so that when the people actually farm, they can transport their produce to markets close by or to ready markets and not have the food rot in those places. At the end of the day, it is the youth who are going to access these jobs. It is not, we are not looking at these short-term policy, party political promises of the NYEPs or the SADAs and the JIDAs that came and went. That's our short-term. What's the last one? We had NABCO, short-term, 3 years, and then after that, what are they to do? We are looking at long-term
Long-term employment policies take money.
Yes, of course, they take money.
How much will the PPP pump in?
Money that will be for the technocrats to determine for us. But the money is there.
So
that
you
is
will
up
work
to the technocrats
with
to
the
work
technocrats.
For. Of course, we have to work for the technocrats, and we will not politicize the ministries and departments.
What do you mean you say you will not politicize ministries and departments? Will you not be putting your party members in the ministries?
We don't need to. There are people there who've worked through the years.
Your ministers will not be party members?
Not necessarily. Why should they be? All Ghanaians are Ghanaians. We talk about an inclusive government. All Ghanaians are Ghanaians. Has the person worked and attained the position where they can be minister and work in the interest of Ghana? We are not looking for people who are working in the interest of a political party. We're looking for people who are working in the interest of Ghana. The more we appoint people who are our party members, the more we perpetrate that state capture of the political party.
So if someone shows themselves qualified without being a member of your party, you will appoint them to ministerial positions?
Yes, we will. We have said that many times over. We will appoint them if they are there. And not because we want to fill positions. We have said that our ministers won't be more than 40. Maybe we can extend it, but and over the years it may have changed. But we don't need 123 ministers, all belonging to one political party. We're trying to satisfy them.
How many ministers will you have?
We will have about 40. We have said in our policy statement that we will have about 40 ministers. You know, we have said that, the PPP has said that we will have Ghanaians vote for their own DCs and MMDCs. In voting for your DCs and MMDCs, you will not need regional ministers anymore.
Okay,
what
so you will replace the regional ministers with the
municipal
chief executives.
Because in every district there's a municipal head, and that municipal head can play the part. What is the regional minister doing? There's a municipal head who has been voted into power by their own people, who's serving the needs of their people. Because by virtue of the fact that they are the municipal head, they can head the rest of the districts that come under them. So why should we have so many ministers? We don't need them.
Hold on to that thought. If you're watching us, this is Spotlight on MX24, your destination for fun, fearless and factual content. We're speaking with the Progressive People's Party's presidential candidate, Brigitte Dzogbenuku. She's given us some interesting policy insights. One of them being a replacement of regional ministers with municipal chief executives. We'll go for a quick break. When we come back, we're still talking to Brigitte Dzogbenuku.
No, this is not business as usual. This is a different kind of business. From the global stock market, to our central bank, to insights on insurance and investment, Spotlight is a show for you. Here, we look beyond the numbers. On Spotlight, we'll tell you the complexity behind the figures. On Spotlight, we examine hardcore financial issues. Join me, Philip Nanfuri, on MX24, together with policymakers and experts as we talk business.
Opinions are like onions. Everybody has one.
Abortion is a no-no. As a human being, you must take responsibility for all your actions and inactions. Your misjudgment shouldn't be enough grounds to take a life.
No. I disagree with you because look, if you do not legalize it, people will go to quack doctors anyway who might end up not just kill the baby but the mother as well.
Why should I waste my time joining a long queue under the hot sun to vote for a political party, knowing very well that nothing would be achieved at the end of the day?
Something will be achieved. It's your civic responsibility to turn out to vote. Vote and vote for a good leader.
Governments need to cater to every graduate, diversify the economy, invest in other sectors.
But the government cannot do it all. That is why we need the youth to take up the mantle and set up their own businesses. That is how we will create economic viability.
Here on Opposing Views, we take your views, my views, and the views of the experts and put them in the right context for you, our discerning viewers.
welcome back. You're still watching Spotlight, and my name is Nuong Faalong. We're speaking with Madame Brigitte Dzogbenuku. She's the Progressive People Party's presidential candidate. Before we went on the break, you mentioned Galamsey, taking people out of Galamsey. Former President Mahama has made a related promise to Galamsey, and he says he's going to free every person who was imprisoned due to Galamsey when he's voted into power, if he's voted into power. Is this something that you identify with?
No, I don't identify with that. I mean, free people who are into Galamsey, who were arrested because of Galamsey, and then what? And then what is there for them? Are they going back into the pits? There must be a lot more to it than freeing them. We are saying we are taking them out of the pits. We must starve Galamsey of the raw material, which is the human resource. Not because we want them to be poor, but it's also for their own good and for the safety and the sanitation and the environment.
What about those who are already in prison? I mean, you're taking the human resource, present human resource, and equipping them so they can fit into other sectors.
Yes.
But what happens to those who've already been imprisoned? Do you have these people on your mind?
It's not. I don't see the point of comparing my policy with John Mahama's policy. He wants to deal with prisoners. Fine. We want to deal with the people who are free. We wonder why those people ended up in prison, and it's got to be looked at on a fair basis to find out what the trial was and how they were imprisoned. Frankly, it is a bit unfair that they were imprisoned. There are a lot more people who are into this Galamsey menace who need to be imprisoned, and they are not, and we all know it. But we all know that Galamsey has been here for a long time with us.
A lot more people. When you say a lot more people, are there specifics?
I'm sure take it in whatever sense you want with it. I'm not going to go into that. But the thing is, there are the people who are there who are being constantly fed into this Galamsey menace should be helped out, and we think that we will take them out. There are so many things we want to do. We want to improve on the country's road networks, for example. There's always the need for the same kind of labor to go into that area. We will pull them out of there and feed them into that, because we want to open the country up to industrialization. We want to open the country up so that our produce is no longer remaining as primary produce, which we're exporting. I know that before this conversation started, I was asking your team, why we are all not made in Ghana goods. If we all invested maybe in our cotton industry, for example, we'll have a lot more people being employed there. You ask me if I'm I'm an entrepreneur. Yes, I sell jomi. I say to people, I'm a palm oil seller. And the women there have sustainable jobs now, because they don't have to struggle to get their produce into the market to sell by tots anymore. They have a branded product on shelves all over
Is there any value we can add to palm oil in Ghana?
Well, it's an edible product. I mean, it is used on an industrial scale. It is used for production of many things, including confectionery. But in this, in the states in which I'm doing this, is for the edible home use, domestic use, and rather than go and take old used bottles, everybody knows what the health risks are, and filling it or putting it into plastic bags that litter and all that, we are packaging it in bottles and adding and branding it and selling it not locally but also exporting it, and that by itself is value added. So it doesn't remain in the village. This is a superior product, by the way. It doesn't remain in the village anymore. It is out here on the shelves in supermarkets in Accra. And therefore, that can be done for so many of our primary agric products, our cashew, our shea, indeed our cocoa. For all these years, we have had one cocoa processing factory. And then we have now women, small-scale women, doing, you know, state-of-the-art little bits of chocolate that can be sold. And these are women's businesses that we must support and must invest in. And these will go on to provide jobs for people. Because if you are, if where I am in the Afadjato South District, it's brought in a lot more women to produce because of the quantities we want. And apart from that, we need to move on to the next stage where the packaging and the bottling and the packaging, the labeling and boxing and everything is done there. And therefore, bring in more people who will work. So these, you know, it's as someone says, it's in the little things. There are little things to do to provide jobs. It's not in the big, grandiose building of huge factories to prove that we are providing jobs.
But we have to catch up with the rest of the world too.
Yes, but we have to start somewhere.
Small. Now, I know you say we shouldn't compare your policies, but your opponents have often been involved in heated conversations around Okada politics.
That is the point. It's the conversation and not the doing. And that is why I say let's not compare. I do not compare conversation. Do it.
What's your view on legalizing Okada?
Look, it's not as simple as just legalizing Okada. And frankly, I don't like to go into that conversation because it's simplified. And it's simplified once again.
The core of the people.
Yes, it's simplified once again to take advantage of the people and to take advantage of their sentiments. It's not as simple as just legalizing Okada. It's obvious that the people are not without jobs. We came up with a blanket, and this is the same person who's saying I'll legalize Okada, who came up with a blanket law to ban it. And therefore, when you are saying you want to legalize it, think about it carefully. What is the menace of Okada on certain areas of Ghana? Will we be able to take it outside to areas where it can be regulated? So that, yes, people will still ply their trade, but it's not a blanket. There's Okada that's only for deliveries.
So you're saying that you don't buy into a blanket ban, but more of a regulation?
Yes. There shouldn't be a blanket, I will legalize it or not legalize it. And then again, what is being provided for these people to whom this is an income. So it's a bit of, as they say, a yin and yang. There's a little good in it and there's a little bad in it. How do we look at the good in it and make it better, provide transport, especially for those areas where they say they are inaccessible to cars and things like that, and therefore it can be permitted. And then in areas where really people have access to transport, we say respect the laws, or you can't have access to this place or that place. A long time ago, we had rules for taxis where they say to you, taxis are not allowed here. And taxis were indeed, even in the ministries, there was a sign that I took a photo of, which said no taxis.
At Parliament, there are no taxis allowed inside.
Yes, so you can regulate it. But if you say that, you know, you're just doing a blanket populist, I'll legalize Okada or I won't legalize Okada, then you are playing the people against each other. And frankly, we are tired of politics that plays people against each other. Let's look at the cases in the uniqueness of them and regulate it as we will. We haven't enforced the laws. Okadas, we are allowed to jump red lights, people are getting hurt, and then we come and give this blanket statement just to appeal to the conscience of the people. It doesn't work like that. It is unfair.
A lot of people have questions about the absence of the former presidential candidate for the Progressive People's Party. Will he be joining you on the campaign trail?
I mean, we have a few weeks to go and he's not here. No, he won't. He's not been unwell. He did a good transition. He did what he could do from 2012 and 2016 and has handed over. And he's not the only one who has handed over. If you look, even our executives, our chairman has changed into a younger person, and most of our executives have handed over to the younger generation.
But the old executives stay to support the campaign.
Where have you seen them on our campaign trail? They are.
That's the question.
They are playing a role. We hear from them, we talk to them. Of course, they are the founders of the party, and there's no sense, I mean, we are not like other parties where we'll cut out our founder and not want anything to do with him. He still feeds into us, and he still is part of the party, except that he can't actively play a role. But he's there in the background, guiding.
Talking about founders, the founder of the NDC just recently passed, former President Jerry John Rawlings. A lot of people have had conversations about his legacy. What does his legacy mean to you? Was there any
I
particular...
grew up in the army, and the legacy I have of... I grew up in the barracks, and indeed during June 4th, and my father was a senior officer who was not treated very well. So when I have to talk about Jerry John's legacy in that manner, I do understand that he has family and he has children who may not understand what pain he caused other people. And therefore, I'm not one to inflict or to increase their pain or revenge. There's one recent memory I have of Jerry Rawlings, which is when he presented me with a rose at a Peace Council event in 2016.
Did you ever have a conversation?
No, I did not. I didn't need to. So yes, may his soul rest in peace. I want to believe that he was here for a purpose. He came to serve that purpose. Sadly, for me, it wasn't the most pleasant of memories. It hasn't been the most pleasant of memories. But I
for
will
people
not...
like you and for other people whose memories of him are not very pleasant, do you think this is something we should visit and discuss? Because we already had a reconciliation committee.
Well, maybe what has happened with that is that the reconciliation didn't serve its purpose as well as it ought to have. Maybe people were still afraid.
Should it be revived?
I don't know. It may help, but I don't know how well it will now that he's gone, sadly. So I think that for a lot of people, they feel that maybe the late president should have shown some remorse, which he didn't. And therefore, people are hurt by it. The good thing is that things pass and people pass. And hopefully, people will find it within them. I'm not one to tell people how to deal with their pain, but maybe people will find it within them to forgive and move on for their own good rather than, for anybody else's. So yes, if you ask me what memories I have, like I said, I don't have the most pleasant of memories for Jerry's time, but I'm sure that I am not God. He came to serve a purpose, and I hope that that purpose was served.
There's a phenomenon known as the glass cliff. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I am not.
The glass cliff refers to situations where when an organization or institution is in crisis, they put a woman in leadership positions, or they put minorities. So it could be a woman, could be a black person, depending on the demographics. Do you think this is what has happened in the case of the PPP?
I don't think so. I mean, I was called to be vice presidential candidate in 2016. We were not in crisis. I don't think we're in crisis now. Yes, we are not as vibrant as we were in 2016.
Some people think that's because there are some financial difficulties.
Indeed, there are financial difficulties. We are not a party that was in power. And therefore, and I doubt that we would have used resources as the two parties have done.
Are these financial difficulties anyway linked to the business troubles of the founder?
By all means, there's some link to it. By all means, these were his personal businesses, and therefore he was to some extent able to support us. These were profit-making entities. They were not. It's not that they were stealing people's money, as people have been made to believe. These were profit-making entities, and this man had also made his own. We also had executives who were in a position to contribute. So yes, we have suffered a little bit, but that does not mean that we are incapable of leading a nation, or we tend to boil everything down to cash, and sometimes it's not cash. It's the resources.
Cash is important.
It is important, but it's not the ultimate.
Okay.
Yes, and because we have, and I know I was in a forum with you. Cash is important, and we have made it so important that all our politics has become monetized, and we must start to move away from monetization of our politics and look at the spirit and the energy and the resource that people bring on board to run a nation rather than just their cash.
Spirit, energy, and resource, besides cash. Some of your opponents have had security concerns about 2020 elections. Do you share any similar concerns? Are you confident in the security agencies and the Electoral Commission to carry out free and fair elections?
We pray, and this will pray to the Ghanaian rather than being a security agency. I say to people that we are Ghanaians first and foremost before we become security men or men in the security, or as much as the Ghana Army would like to tell you, you are not yourself, you are your own anymore. Look, at the end of the day, you're a Ghanaian. You want the best for Ghana. So yes, we believe that the security agencies have been infiltrated by the two parties that have held on to power over the years. One comes into power, they change certain people, they influence the hierarchy, put their own people there, recruit their own people into it, call some of the special forces, whatever, some of their own people are in there pushing their agenda. We must look and let the security services follow their own hierarchical system and not influence them. But I will say to the security service at this point, and also to the Electoral Commission, at the end of the day, whatever it is you are doing it for the good of Ghana. You're not doing it for the good of a political party. So let's look at Ghana and act for Ghana first. And when we are done acting for Ghana first, we can then support, I mean, you're going to vote. Vote for whatever political party you want. Vote for the PPP, for your own peace. But do your work as a Ghanaian for the love and the peace of Ghana.
When you say vote for the PPP, what is the unique thing that the PPP brings to the table?
Well, I think we've talked about we've talked about the policies, yes. But I think the uniqueness is the fact that, one, we want the inclusive government, and two, we want a Ghana prosper for all Ghanaians. It doesn't matter, an inclusive Ghana, where everybody is Ghanaian, regardless of tribe, regardless of religion, regardless of sect, regardless of gender, regardless of age. It must be a Ghana that is satisfying for the whole of Ghana. That is what we are bringing. If you look at our party, we are so mixed up, age-wise, ethnicity-wise, I mean, by ethnicity, by, you know, it's a mixed, it's representative of Ghana, and that is what we want. It is time for us Ghanaians to come together, and that is what we are promising. And, you know, a woman, and I hate to use this analogy, but a woman takes everybody's children as somebody's child. And under women's leadership, we have that. Everybody is somebody's child. There's a bit of objectivity too. And I say this for the PPP as much as I say it for myself. We must, objectivity, or if you like, some call it compassion. We must understand why other people or the other parties are acting the way they are acting. And they are acting that way because of fear. Our constitution is rooted in fear of anybody outside of us.
What would you do about that?
We said it in our policy. We need to review the constitution or pass the review of the constitution. A constitutional review that had 6 million cedis spent on it, $6 million spent on it, and has been shelved. And nobody wants to touch it because it's going to take power away from them. We will take it out and review parts that indeed take power away from us and give Ghanaians the power to choose some of their local leaders so that Ghana can develop and progress.
There's some speculation about a third force in Ghana's politics. Do you think it's possible to have a third force beyond the MPP and the NDC?
Why not? In 2012 and 2016, we proved to be a third party, maybe with very low votes or a very low percentage. But it's a matter of growth. We doubled our votes in 2016, and it's just a matter of growth. And we
so are you doubling them in 2020?
We are more than doubling them.
What are you doing in 2020? What's the...
We are campaigning, and come December 7th, you go out and vote for us, and you'll see what we will get.
Right.
You also believe that you can create a change in this country. Let's stop thinking that, you know what, this is all we're going to have. This is the way it's going to be. You can also create a change in this country, and you should be part of it.
There are some opinions that for the PPP and other minority parties to come to power, they need to form a coalition.
Well, it's a bit late now. We've got 2 weeks to go. We can't do that now. We tried it after 2016 elections. Not all the parties were interested in doing that. In fact, we found out that some of the parties were leaning towards the two major parties. So it seemed quite difficult.
Would a coalition be a good idea?
It might be. We can try again. Like I said, we tried in 2016. My vice presidential candidate, Kofi Asam-Wasiak, was a secretary to that attempt of a coalition. It didn't work because people were torn away because indeed they know that these two parties know that if there's a third force, it is going to be taken away from them. And I'm saying that you Ghanaians must not sit down any longer to be denied your ability to also wield power or have some power. And your power is in your vote on December 7th.
Madam Bridgitte, let's look at young girls. And this is your parting message. This is your parting message. How can we prepare young girls for leadership? Or how can young girls position themselves if they are aspiring to leadership?
Young girls cannot, young girls by themselves cannot position themselves for leadership. They need to be helped. They need to be propped up. Our policy on education, making it compulsory for every child to be in school, evidently involves girls. Most times girls are left out of school to help at home, to help on the farm. When we say all girls, all children of school-going age must remain in school till SHS, that by itself takes care of the girls as well. So there it is. When we say we want to support women's enterprise, that by itself takes care of the young girl who wants to go into enterprise. When we say we want to pass the affirmative action bill within 1 year, that by itself takes care of the fact that a young girl is seen, and I believe in mentoring, is seeing a woman in leadership and will wants to follow in her footsteps, will make her her role model. That is there. I mean, there are other things. There's a domestic violence and domestic violence victims and all that, and other assaults, where personally I have taken on where young girls or victims going to hospitals are still being made to pay. Now, if you're asking me if I'll abolish that within the first 3 months, yes, that will be done within the first 3 months.
Thank you very much, Madam Bridgitte. If you're listening, we have been speaking to Brigitte Dzogbenuku. She is the presidential candidate for the Progressive People's Party. She has told you what she's bringing to the table, what the PPP is bringing to the table. Now it's up to you to decide which party you're voting for in December 2020. Thank you for watching Spotlight. My name is Nuong Faalong.